Give it 17 years, which goes very fast because at my age, I have seen it all. We help people to talk about their money because if you don't talk to your money, it will give you orders and you know what that means. So as we go along, I'll be able to deep dive on. We need to embrace these young people. I always believe that much as we have our issues between the young and the old, it should be a partnership.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Tracey Shiundu and I'm the co-founder of FunKe Science, part of the team that brought you STEM Africa Fest, the Kenya edition. Today on the podcast, I'm here with David Ndolo from ICEA Lion Group. We're going to learn about the wonders of insurance, how different it is, how it applies to the M in STEM, and some of the interesting things that they do back at ICEA. So, David, since I've already told everyone about you.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
Lovely to have you.
I'm very excited to be here, Tracy.
Fantastic. You hear he's excited. So, I just want to know, tell us about yourself and tell us about your role or what your organization does.
Right. So, one of the things I always say is that there is part A of my life and part B of my life.
Nice.
I'm a trained accountant at Strathmore. I worked in banking for 7 years. Then went into business, entrepreneurship. But cut all that and fast forward to today.
Nice.
The last 3-4 years, I joined ICEA Lion as a financial advisor.
Okay.
So what does that mean? It means that we help people to talk about their money. Because if you don't talk to your money, it will give you orders and you know what that means. So as we go along, I'll be able to deep dive on exactly how we do it. Financial
advisor. That sounds very, very interesting.
Correct.
So maybe just to throw a little bit, like a tangent, what is the day in a financial advisor look like? What does it look like?
Okay.
What do I do?
So first and foremost, you have to remember that relationship building is key to whatever it is you're going to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be an engineer, financial, but in this particular case, we are very keen to ensure that first we listen more to the people we deal with, because more often we think we know it all.
Yes.
But we find in the day-to-day work that one, try to listen to the client because many people have different needs.
Yes.
You can't have the same set of solutions for all the clients. So that's the first thing. But obviously to do that, you've got to know who are your clients. How are you going to go about ensuring that when you start the day, whom are you going to call?
Yeah.
Whom are you going to talk to?
Yes, true.
That takes time. And I'm sure even in what you do, that's part of what we do.
What we do, yeah.
The next thing is just to research. Do a lot of research to say, okay, fine, what are the possible solutions that would apply? Like, for example, one person may have a totally different need from the other person. Yeah. So when we ask what do we do day to day, one, putting the customer at the center of what we do, and secondly, trying to ensure that at the end of the relationship, the client is much better than they were before they came to meet us. And that's what drives us every single day. And yeah, so I would say in a short, let's keep it there. And then obviously, as I say, through this session, whatever I've not mentioned now will still come out.
It's coming. It's coming. Fantastic.
Right.
And then you said something very interesting where you said, making your money talk. Do you talk to your money? Not your money talking to you? You
talk to your money.
So how can I talk to my money?
First of all, money does not like noise. Those who are successful, if you look at the world over, these are people who they're not loud. They don't brag. You watch them, they're very calm. They've got very good manners. So when we say talk to your money, it means that one, if you don't earn, it is difficult to do any investment of any sort, any saving if the money is not there. But assume you get your first job. I remember getting my first job, I think I was 21 or 22. I had to start working very early. I don't want to go black tax. I want to go into that. Yeah. So when you say talking to your money is, what exactly do you want to achieve within a certain time frame?
Okay.
What are the things that you do first? What is it that you do next? And what do you do last? Because again, you can't do everything at the same time. Those who have tried fail miserably. So when you're talking to your money, you say, okay, fine. This is my budget for this month. We're going to say sort of the rent. This is the transport. This is exit, that kind of thing. So if you don't do that, then it means that the money will take a trajectory.
Yeah, it will
just go whatever it wants. So that's what we mean when you say talk to your money.
Talk to your money.
Yes. So it means that you make a very, very, you make a decision to know exactly what is coming in, what is going out, and in what order that is being done. So that is what I mean by say talking to your money.
Interesting. So if we're now talking about like financial advisor, talking to your money, getting to budget and getting to know what I can do with my money. Thinking around the education sector. Like what do you think ICEA can do differently other than maybe because everyone would know if I hear ICEA Lion Group, then I'm just thinking policy. I need to get either an education policy, a life-saving policy. Like, what do you think we, as ICEA Lion Group, we could do around education and even just educating the next generations?
That's an excellent question. In my last 3-4 years, I have realized, and it was the same with me before I really got into the nitty-gritty of this industry. There's a lot of ignorance. People don't know very basic things. So for us, what we first do is do free consultation.
Nice, okay.
Westlands branch, we are based at Unga House. You have been to Unga House.
Yes,
we are on the 8th. It's a beautiful one, but you didn't probably visit the 3rd floor. So we're both on the 3rd floor and the 8th floor. So the commercial office is on the 8th floor, but on the 3rd floor, that's where we want to keep on training and having, those private sessions with our clients. We are very keen on trying to educate. Just trying to teach, because obviously teaching does not end. Just when we're trying to get ready for this, I realized there's so much in this whole thing of STEM. I realized, oh my goodness, I need to be reading and read every day. Learning every day. So for us, the first thing, even if we talk about policy A, policy B, is one, do people understand budgets? Do you understand revenue streams? Do they understand what is called delayed gratification?
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, then it means that you'll never succeed in this world. You'll basically be living paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck, that is if you have a paycheck, because there are people who don't. So that's where we want to go in. And then we also want to carry awareness. We're working very closely with several universities. I'm very honored to work with Strathmore University, JKUAT, and we are trying to move across all. We can't do all because obviously there's a limitation. But these young people who are still in the university, nobody taught us about money. No. I'm sure you are not taught.
No, not really.
Not quite. Maybe.
There was touch.
Yes, there was touch, but there has to be a whole conversation around what do you do and what don't you do. So we as ICEA Lion are very keen to grab the 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21, that point, and ask them, you know what, you can actually do better. And then also get them to work together.
Oh, nice.
Yes, get a lot more collaboration. Then after we've done that, then obviously we have to tell people, the minute your child is conceived, for example, and I don't want to go into a sales pitch because that's not what we want to do here. But
it's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
Yes.
But surely, when your child is born, you're excited and all that stuff. He or she's going to be a baby forever.
Yes.
They turn 18. My daughter is turning 18 in May. She's going to the university. Yes. Right? Yes. I remember her in swaddling clothes when she was a little thing. Now, if I didn't think ahead and say, you know what, this child, at one point will come to me and tell, Daddy, this is the course I want to do.
Ooh, yes.
This is the university I want to go to. And Daddy, I got to go there.
Yes.
If you didn't plan.
Yeah, if you don't plan.
So I don't want to go into whatever all those things you're talking about. It's just a question of, do you have a plan? And throughout last year, we've been saying, do people have plans?
Plans, yeah.
Yeah, so let me stop there for them.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's very key, because people need to plan not just for themselves, but for also all the other eventualities that happen around them.
Exactly.
So would you say then within, like, let's say, since this podcast is being done in Kenya, but whichever audience that sees it, since it's online, will see. But would you say there's a current shift towards people talking to their money, or is the money talking to us? Everything that's changing,
All right. So I don't want to be negative, but I believe that when you have a toothache, you have to get either some Tylenol, but ultimately you may have to pull out that tooth.
Yes.
That's the solution. I think that we still have a problem in this country. I've just sent an article to you talking about almost 100 billion shillings that people in Kenya take in form of loans, whether it's from the SACCOs or the banks.
Or mobile lenders, the mobile apps.
Which, by the way, is deadly, because actually you get impoverished by some of those apps. You actually become a slave for your entire life. We at ICEA say, why do you want to do that? Why on earth do you want to do that? This kid I talked about at 6 months or 1 year, give it 17 years, which goes very fast, because at my age I have seen it all. It's okay. At a small amount of money, and with the power of compounding interest, is it possible to get a plan in place that will ensure at some point, I tell you, ICEA, you know, it's your responsibility now to make sure this kid goes to the university.
Yes.
Surely, what can be better than that? And when we meet people who still argue with that and say, oh, insurance companies are this or that, we have a 60-year track record. Last year, we marked our 60th anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm not 60. Neither you or anybody in this room.
Yes.
Okay? So it means that they've tried.
They've been around.
Of course, there's been disappointments. But one good thing is that the government also tried very hard in the last 10, 15 years to try and rein in rogue insurance companies.
Oh, okay.
So I really congratulate the government for that. So back to the question you asked, we can still do a lot more. I don't see why people have to take these expensive loans to pay for education, yet we have solutions, common sense solutions. And it's not just ICEA, this is across the board. Yes. Any insurance company out there that is doing this kind of thing, or fund manager that is doing this kind of thing, kudos to them. So I still feel there's more that needs to be done. And through conversations like this, we need to keep talking to guys and say, hey, talk to your money, not the other way around.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So maybe then my follow-up question to that would be, what challenges have you seen around trying to tell people to talk to their money?
Okay, another very good question, and maybe I'll have one or two answers, or three. First, we are creatures of habit.
Yes.
It's something that, I mean, all of us, even I remember, I've had to go through a lot of trainings to try and shift the way I think. We watched our parents do things in a particular way, or grandparents, for those who are lucky to see their grandparents. And we don't believe that there's a different way.
We can't see a different
We don't see. So, and that's why it's very important to keep creating awareness. Now, if you still go the way that we were doing it, say, for example, to do education, by the way, I'm going to be controversial. Okay?
Go on, we like that.
Let me be a little controversial.
We like it.
Yeah? We always told education is an investment.
Yes, we are. We always told that, yeah.
Yes and no.
And we're told study hard.
Yeah, so many. You remember the song by, what was his name? Maybe we need to play. Yeah, so many. One time I went to give a career talk at Nairobi School, which is my alma mater. And I told guys, just take the first 10, 15 seconds and listen to this. Then I told them, scrap that. That is not true, because if you say so many vijana, you're waiting for jobs that are not there, what exactly are you doing? So
chilling.
You're chilling. Yeah, so we digressed a little bit.
Yes.
And let's come back now to what we are saying, that there's still a lot more that we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot more we can do. The good news is people are beginning to realize. You know, after some time, you begin to realize, you know what? Something is not right.
It's not clicking somewhere.
First of all, the jobs are not there. So most of our people are in entrepreneurship. I have a client, and sorry I digress, because we said this is going to be a very easy conversation.
Let's go.
In 2022, or 2021, we'll call this guy Josephat. Josephat trained as an accountant like myself, of course, many, many years after me.
Yes.
Qualified, all that, so you're waiting to get an accountant's job. And you keep on sending CVs and doing all, there are no jobs.
There are none, yeah.
So what did the guy do? I think he must have got support from either friends or relatives. The guy got a bike. You know, the border, the famous border,
motorcycle.
Yeah, the motorcycle.
Okada.
Yes, that one. So the guy, I mean, he's a very industrious guy.
Yeah, very.
And very organized. And by virtue of the fact that at least he was well educated, they said, you know what, this is a means to an end.
Yes.
Let me use this to at least make sure I can put on the table. The guy is married with, I think, 2, 3 children. He did that very well. So when I met Josephat, I asked him, when you look at your daily income, once you've got rid of all the expenses, don't you at least have something that you take home? He said, yes, actually we have a SACCO, a chama, where every day we have to put, I think, 50 bob aside. So then I brought him a possible solution. You know, Josephat, whatever you're doing, you can actually take 100 to 150 or 200 shillings every day. You make sure you deny yourself one thing or the other, but put it into this long-term investment fund. So initially he was very resistant.
Of course, why are you denying?
Yeah, but given that I was also giving him business, for something else that we do, my wife and I, so finally he came round. So Josephat came in, and guess what? He took a financial solution that would cost him 5,000 bob a month. He then made arrangements with his bank so that he would not default, so that when the time came, money would pick from his bank and sent to ICEA. 3 years later, Josephat has about 300,000-400,000 in investment, because sometimes he would push more funds.
Yeah, more funds, yeah.
But not only that, last year at the beginning, he got an opportunity now with his accountant's job, not to work in Kenya, but to work in Europe.
Wow.
So the guy is in Europe
Good for him,
doing his job, and also now he's sitting at least something. Remember, he was a border guy. When you see him, you know the way we have disregard for these guys on the bikes.
Oh, but they don't have money.
So they have money. So I wanted to bring that story so that I have no disrespect. I don't disrespect the people who have the ties. But this guy at the bottom of the pyramid, there's a lot of money there. So if you can bring them into this equation, this economy where only certain people
financial advice,
I think we'll do very, very well. So I really congratulate you. If you can just keep doing this, and if I remember the program, the event we attended in November last year, I saw so many people, I saw so many organizations.
Nice.
Yes, but please let it not just have been a checkbox.
We had the event. Cheers.
Now let's go back and say, hey guys, 3-4 months ago, we did XYZ. We are talking with ICEA, one of our partners. Could there be another way in which you can look at this?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so.
I like that. That's very interesting. Because now, even speaking of now the STEM Africa Fest, and that was in November 2nd, 2024.
Yes.
And we had the event and everything. So, like for ICA Lam Group, and even for you as David, like what motivated you to actually reach out and want to be part of the event?
Okay. First of all, this event was done where I go to church.
Consolata.
Consolata Shrine. We have to be real. I'm one of the leaders in the professional group.
Nice.
Okay. And so when I saw the first, I think it was a flyer, I can't remember, or one of our colleagues mentioned about it. So naturally, I was drawn to it. But knowing that I'm a person who loves new networks, I love to meet people.
Yes. Yes, and there are lots of people.
And there are lots of people.
There are lots of people.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? Why don't we be a part of this? So you remember Stella Kitur and myself, because Stella and I, as I mentioned, work very closely in these matters. We decided, to be part of it, so that at least we could meet more people. So that was one of the first motivations that we had.
Yeah.
But I also have a passion for education.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
That's a story, that's going to be another podcast.
We might touch on it, don't worry. We might touch on it.
We may touch on it, As much as I said that education may not be an investment per se, education is very powerful. You know the quotes from the late Nelson Mandela. I don't want to steal his thunder, but you remember his whole attitude on education. Education is a game changer.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
If you give somebody the ability to have knowledge, sharpen the knowledge, and then be able to interact with other people, you actually change the world. So when I saw this thing, and it was not just education, you're talking about science, you're talking about technology, education, and math. That, I think, is where the world is going, and also has been, because when you look at Japan, you look at Germany, you look at the US, you realize that a lot of their development is anchored on STEM.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the things that motivated me. But ultimately, we're also looking to do business. Let me know. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to say, hey, what is in it for us? So that's where now Stella came in and said, let's see what this will bring forth. So that's what motivated us to be part of it.
Okay. Yeah. And what were your key takeaways of the event? Like what stood out for you, other than meeting many people? What stood out for you?
I was very impressed by these very young kids. Very, very young kids already exposed to technology.
Oh, yes.
And I said, my goodness, I didn't have that opportunity when I was younger. And they were so, they were very motivated. They were so excited. So that was a key thing I saw, and I wish that can be replicated throughout this country.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you just have to be in Nairobi or these cities. We need to see how that curiosity of the kids can
go on. Yeah.
The other takeaway that I saw was the fact that you had all these different organizations. I remember that was it not Kengen? There's another company. GDC.
Yes.
The Geothermal Development Corporation. I remember there was a photo I took and it's still part of into my gallery. Yes. So I also saw that, and I said, wow, if different organizations can see something and come together.
Yes.
How about if we can reinforce that, strengthen that, so that we can do more? Because I think there's still a lot of work to be done.
Oh, yes.
A lot of work to be done. You know that Vision 2030 talks about this thing that people just use as a buzzword.
2030 is 5 years, guys.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
You know that? So we only have 5 years to go. If you go into that document, you can actually lift just STEM in its entirety. And how many of our leaders, for example, I don't want to be controversial.
Go ahead.
How many?
Be.
Yeah. How many say, you know what, today we'll stop the politics. Can we go and look at this thing called STEM? What does it mean? What are the possibilities?
It just looks nice.
It just looks nice on paper. Yeah. So you talked about takeaways.
Yes.
Those are the main two. And then for us also as an organization, we realize that it is possible to now work not only through you, obviously, because you're the pivot.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, you guys are the pivot. You put that together.
Yes.
Then see how working with you, can we now have a better thing through this year?
Yeah, no, because I loved, especially organizing STEM Fest for me was a labor of love, because it was something I've always dreamt of having a festival where children come and experience the difference in science, because I was lucky that my parents really pushed me to want to do experiments, break things, mix things. So I had that experience, and I felt children need to experience that more, because then that makes you realize, oh yeah, by then I can do it, I can do it. And you end up actually doing it.
And you actually do it.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, like some of the things you've mentioned, children with their curiosity, children can actually learn so much, children picked so much information, and the different organizations that were there. So I guess for you then as ICEA Lion, what did you see as, how do I put this in how do you see partnerships moving forward, especially towards not just the work you're doing, but even towards moving our country to a technological state, and I think we're a technological state. I think maybe it's just things that need to be put in place. But what do you see the role of partnerships in a lot of the work that was being done during the festival and for ICEA?
Okay, so I will probably step out of the picture just a bit.
Okay.
You know the way you step out
and then come back.
Then you come back.
Yes. So you've stepped.
Right. So now I'm back. So first of all, you talk about partnership or partners. I think sometimes it's good to now drill down on what are the actual partnerships that we would want to see for STEM to work. One, we are aware that infrastructure is crucial, because like right now we are holding these computers.
Yes.
We have all this recording going on. These things cannot happen without the technology.
Yeah, we need the technology.
But also, if it is not there, then all we'll be doing is talking.
And no one will know.
Yeah, we'll just be talking.
Yes.
So one is that. Secondly, it is crucial to then say, you cannot give what you don't have. So you need the personnel, the individuals who actually have the knowledge that then can have the STEM conversation. Because if you don't have them, so who's going to give? Nobody. So it means that also when you're talking about that, there's a lot of work that goes towards getting qualified individuals.
Yes.
Isn't it?
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
Thirdly, for example, when you say, okay, what is going to be taught? Again, we can talk about the 4 letters, and I know there's a 5th one, then when you move to the arts.
There are many.
Yeah?
Okay. There are even some that have 6.
But for now, let's just stick to 4 and 5, So it means also that there has to be some regulator or some platform upon which, when you're saying you're delivering concepts in STEM, there's a way in which you're not doing negative stuff. You're actually doing what will add the value.
Add value.
Yeah. For me, I also go to a 4th thing, and I say sometimes when you talk about even nutrition in schools, for example, okay, you know, things like those we forget. All we want is focus on the hardware or the software, but we forget that, look, some of the kids who are so excited about STEM may come from very marginalized places.
Yes.
Isn't it? And I know you've traveled Kenya, you've traversed the continent.
Yes.
And you find the places where, wow, you wonder, how do these guys survive? So if, say, for example, you had partner organizations that can say, okay, us guys, we may not do all this technology stuff. But what we're going to do, we are going to ensure that these people are fed, for example. They have the energy. That if you're talking about physics, so you're talking about chemistry or biology, it enters. Yeah. It doesn't float. So that may look like a small thing,
yes,
but it's a very big thing. And then obviously, government. You know, when you talk about government has a way of engaging other governments. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Most of our, say, bilateral partners or whatever, they want to see, what does the government of Kenya say?
Or what is it doing?
Or what is it doing? So if there's a way, and remember, we also now have the devolved system of government.
Yeah.
So we have the government at the top,
and
but also you have the other 47, the other counties. So that also is a crucial way. So I wanted just to talk about what are the type of partners, who are these partners, and then how do you have a conversation that can, now, talking about ICEA Lion, I'll give you a very good example, because I also like examples. Last year, and again I was interviewed, something similar. We partnered with Strathmore University for what is called the annual. Yeah, you actually need to. If you want me to make a few calls, I can actually do it. So after this, just let me know. We'll go over to Strathmore. Yeah. Sure. So the Vice Chancellor of Strathmore is called Dr. Vincent Ogutu. Dr. Vincent Ogutu has a fantastic story, which again I will not steal his thunder. Maybe one day you'll interview him. But came from a very humble background in Eastlands to now head one of the leading institutions in Africa, actually. So we decided that we would partner with them so that they raise money to support students who are brilliant, who have all that it takes, but are stopped from going ahead because of the lack of resources. Oh no. So the VC Run is one of those vehicles that has been going on. In fact, the next one is on the 31st of May. VC Run. So mark your run. The guy is a marathoner. That's the only vice chancellor, I think. I don't know. Actively marathon. Yes, he's a serious marathoner, competitive marathoner. What? And has been one of my mentors for many years. What? Yes. I need to check my VC. If you guys know what university I went to. Don't worry. Stop shouting. Yeah, so you asked about ICEA Lion. We are just starting, because for a very long time, ICEA Lion, you may have said that wasn't quite involved. But given the way things are going, and talk about artificial intelligence, and we are dealing with a lot of data from customers. We need students who really understand what to do with the data. Yeah, and what's going on with it. What's going on. What is the data saying? So there's no way we're going to sit and just, do like this. No, we got to be involved. Yes. And we think Strathmore is one of those universities where they seem to be getting something right. Very progressive. And we are definitely going to do it again this year. The run. Bigger, the run. So it's called it's called the VC Run. And when does it happen? It's every May. So this year is going to be on the 31st of May. So if you want, even if you just start practicing. So are you going to start practicing to run, triathlon? My life is very complicated. I started with green juice last year, now I'm running. Yeah. Hey guys. Well, anyway. You could also walk. No. My knees don't allow me to run. We are going to look for, there's a type of shoe, and I think it's Hawkers or something. Yeah. Very good shoes for running. Okay. Yeah. So now back to that, what is ICEA Lion? Yeah. The other thing we're doing, as I mentioned, is to start engaging with students when they're in their second, third, fourth year. And obviously, we, like right now, I know we have several internships. That are even right now. At your branch? At the branch, but also through our partner companies. ICEA Lion is part of the First Chartered Securities Company. So the holding company is called FCS. And it's about 31 companies. Oh, so nice. That includes ICEA Lion, NCBA Bank, Farmer's Choice, there's a whole host of companies. So obviously, these companies have their autonomy. But obviously, in the board, the directors are at the very top. And they're like, let's get the students. Exactly. Let's help them get better. So if we can get good students who have studied technology, programming, all that stuff, we think that is what we can do. And obviously, I don't have the mandate to say everything, but at least I can see from my own eyes that unless we get involved with these institutions and partner with them through an institution like yours, your organization, that I think is where and this is something that some of us will actively be pursuing. You can be somewhere, you may not be a decision maker, but you can always push an agenda. Yes. So some of us, Stella included, this is the agenda that we want to try and push. Obviously, we are open to suggestions. You might have a wider view of things given what you're doing, and so long as there's a way you can say, hey guys, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Then we can escalate it to the people who make decisions. And I like also what David is saying. Before actually I touch on to what David's saying, shout out to Stella. Stella really pushed me. So Stella Kitur, not Stella from FunKe Science. Stella Kitur is a colleague with David and works at ICEA Lion. She really pushed me to go to their office in Westlands because it was a Friday afternoon. I'm like, it looks like it's going to rain, I don't want to come. But she really pushed me to come and set up the meeting and discuss what we're going to do, discuss our goals. And that's how this whole partnership, friendship has just moved on. But anyway, that's a tangent. But now back to like what you're talking about now, working with the students and different organizations, helping them get like internship, getting to learn what they're doing. There are a lot of things that students are learning in universities, in the primary schools, high school, and there are a lot of new technologies that are coming up. So if it's not VR that's being used for teaching, if it's not now our big
enemy AI, not my enemy, FYI. But if it's not everyone thinking, oh my gosh, if I don't know how to use this, if I don't know how to do this, then my life is over. But are you seeing some of these technologies being an aid or a hindrance to the future of not just jobs, but the future of learning as well for our students, and the future of also the work that you do?
I love technology.
We all love it.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that you love
yeah,
it.
so you know where I'm going to go with this.
Go.
Yeah, so by loving technology, I say we need to be efficient in the things we do. I told you about background in banking. I worked in banking for 7 years. I worked at Standard Chartered Bank, and I worked at the former, it was French bank then, into Suez. It's now called Bank of Africa. And I remember that time when you had to deal with so much paper. I mean, it was horrendous. It was horrendous. Why am I drawing that to bring home what I mean? So, first and foremost, we need to have folks who are able to generate more, they're able to be more productive. So if you have a guy who has been trained at X amount over the duration of his learning, you don't want them to come into your organization, and then instead of being able to drive you forward, they're actually
bringing you down. And there are many.
And there are many. Actually, when you do an audit, let's start with good old government.
Go.
Yes. You and I know very well that a lot of those fellows should have retired 20 years ago.
But they don't.
But they don't. And they keep on, oscillating around the system because, right? So we leave that, we'll deal with that. But say, for example, when you talk about good enemy, it's not actually an enemy, artificial intelligence. And you have somebody who is trained, who understands how this technology can enable me do work that will take me 100 days. I'll do it in 1 day.
Imagine.
Okay? Yes, writing, being able to do memos, if the same guy, so you actually will need less people to do more work.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you're getting guys of work. You're telling, hey, buddy, there's some other stuff you should be doing.
Or learning.
Yeah, or learning. Or reinvent, because the world as you know it, even lawyers, I was in a lawyer's office the other day, 3 days ago, I say, you know what, yes, I studied law, but in another 5-10 years, law will not be the way we know it today.
It could be even shorter.
It could be even shorter. So, to answer your question, I think that we need to embrace the technology. We need to embrace these young people. I always believe that much as we have our issues between the young and the old, it should be a partnership.
Yeah.
These guys who are learning today, the rate at which they absorb stuff is much higher than you and I.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So you find that in a very short time, the guy already knows so much more. So you cannot want that guy to operate at your speed. That's when you're going to have a conflict.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, the way I look at it, when you say all the new technologies that are emerging, obviously, people need to, first of all, to be informed. What exactly is the benefit of having this new technology? How is it going to affect the way we are working today? And if it does, what then do we need to do? So that instead of having guys doing that, say, no, let's do the Japanese, they call it kumite. So kumite means that if your enemy is rushing towards you and wants to bring you down, all you do is step this way, the fellow rushes and their own force, they fall down. Okay, that's not a very good way.
I like that.
It's called kumite. Yeah?
We should check out kumite.
Check out kumite.
I was going to say something like kaizen, but that's what everyone knows.
Learn about kumite. What is that? Yeah. So I hope I'm answering that question. But also, if I leave the part about the young people, let's talk about individuals who have been in organizations for long.
And long would be past retirement age?
I think there are people who should have left organizations, just like in government. By the way, many times we point fingers in government. But we need to come into the private sector.
Yes.
And the NGOs. And all these other places. The same way we point fingers, we need to come this way. Because you find, for example, somebody maybe... I know some people who stay long after I left the banking industry.
And they're still there.
And they're still there.
Aye. Are they adding value?
So that's my point. That there are times when we need to be honest in organization, our organization included, because we're not going to leave everybody off the chopping board. Everybody's on the chopping board. And ask yourself, that thing that you're doing today, is there a way it can be done better? What are the different new things that can actually make this work be better? And can we redeploy this guy either to go and teach or, stuff like that, and then be able to create more people who can work.
Pass down knowledge.
Pass down knowledge.
Yeah.
Because these guys have a lot of knowledge.
Yes.
But they sit on it. And that's not a very good thing. I think that if you have knowledge, I always believe, keep on mentoring somebody else. Keep on doing that so that one day when time comes and you check out, you actually recruit yourself in all these other people whom you have been training. We need to encourage people across the board to be able to do that. So for me, that's what I would say. As I said, my area is not very strong on technology, but I remember also spending 7 years with Computer Pride as a business development manager. So I didn't have to learn all the technology stuff, but at least I know that technology and business integrated. Boom.
Wonders.
Yes.
And I like how you say, the more you, let's just say, the longer you work and the longer your age progresses in that role or wherever you are, tell people about it. Talk to people about it. Give people tips and talk. Because I'm a big believer in coaching, mentorship, because it gives you a shortcut to get there faster.
Yes.
I don't know if people actually embrace that sort of thing, or sharing a story as a mentorship. I think also it's very foreign to talk about ourselves, because to some extent people will feel you're tooting your own horn. But in actual sense, if someone listens keenly, then you're able to get so much value from this person.
Right.
And I think, just like how you're saying, the older you progress in your career, the older it goes on, start looking for someone who's younger than you to mentor, because you've just given that person not just the cheat code to get there to where you are, but you've even given them a shorter and faster route to get there. And I think those are some of the things we need, even just with whatever is going on around us, and it can make us better.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Nice.
You know, sometimes we say that it's too difficult to do anything in this country. I know that we have a lot of challenges. But many times, just to pick up from where you have left, we have a lot of brainy individuals, both in this country and in the diaspora. And you said something very good, which I have done in my life, and I've seen how powerful it is. Before I left Computer Pride, which was in 2016, I already decided 1 year prior that I think that I needed to do something else. Yes. So I then started, some of my students, because I was also a mentor to my students, some of whom then got actively employed. So I identified 2-3 people, and I started teaching them, showing them, hey, you know, this is how this works, this one here. And I would say, one day you will be sitting here. They didn't know what I was, but I already felt that I needed to pass on the baton. Guess what? You go to Computer Pride today, and how many years after I left? 2016 to date is what? Almost 8 years.
Yes.
You go and talk to the directors there. Go and I'm not blowing my horn, by the way. You are saying that, oh, when you do that, you're blowing your horn. No.
But you're not.
I'm not. It's the reality that when I exited, and I'd ensured that these folks could understand what the work involved, then I passed it and said, guys, now run with it.
Cheers. Do what you're supposed to.
So for me, when they're working well, I'm actually seeing my signature in the company. We need to do that all over this country. Whether it is in the schools, whether it is wherever it is, let's have people who are generous enough to share their knowledge. Mentor, take some time, talk to somebody who all they want is just that encouragement. When they finish
and you can do wonders with just that one.
Just that encouragement. So I wanted just to agree with you. But obviously sometimes in Kenya we talk too much. Can we talk less? Yes. Let's talk less and identify things that can actually be done. And then let's keep on measuring. Because if we don't measure these things, 6 months later we are nowhere.
I like that. And I like that you're saying, sharing, mentoring people, talking more about what we're doing, like sharing, because I don't think we share. No. I don't think we share the right things. It's always, I did this and it's something cool, but we need to share.
Or negative stuff, outright.
And I think even as society, most cases we thrive on giving negative feedback or saying negative things about people, because to some extent it makes you feel better, but
it's a wrong way. We need to have positive vibes. And just while on that, I know you have your script again on positivity.
Go
on positivity, because I think naturally until about 10-11 years ago I must have been a very negative individual. A person who always see wrong things, even if there's beauty to be celebrated.
There always is.
Okay? And then I did a course called the Dale Carnegie program. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I've heard of Dale Carnegie, but not.
Okay, have you heard of the power? It's called How to Influence People.
Yes.
There's a book. There are 2 books actually.
The book How to Influence People and
how to
get friends and influence people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then there's a sequel called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Those are 2. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I think all people in this country, even as you're talking about the STEM, because remember, even as you're talking about the topic of the day, the underlying issues in terms of the human person, I think those are things that need to be sorted out. So that again is a discussion for another day.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's get people to be more positive, so that when you're positive, the more you share, the more you get. The more you share, the more you get.
Give, and then
give,
will give you
and
back.
don't give saying that I must get back.
Getting something.
Sometimes just give. Yeah. And guess what? There's a God in heaven, and He sees everything.
Yes.
Or in due time, all these things that you have given will come back 100 times over.
And even 100, I'm saying tenfold. Wow.
100 times over.
100 times
so
over.
Let's encourage people to be like that. So anyway, I said,
but that's actually very, very good advice. Do you have anything else that could actually advise to parents, institutions, so like schools, universities? Already you mentioned you work with Strathmore University, to other organizations out there as they're working together, because we never know who's going to listen. So there could be something that you will say that will actually
cut across.
Yeah.
I love this one, and I'm sure you know it. Together, everyone achieves more.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
If you want to go far.
Right.
Yes.
If you want to go far, walk with other people. If you want to go fast,
yes, walk alone.
Walk alone. I think that's a Chinese proverb, if I'm not wrong. Okay? Collaboration in the 21st century is one of those things that you cannot argue with. But obviously, when you talk collaboration, are people ready? Because you see, the thing is, we can talk collaboration all we want. The thing is, are people prepared
to collaborate?
Do they have what it takes? So that you're not always having the negative competition. I think in Kenya, I think the way we were cultured from when we were young, it was always that it has to be a zero-sum game.
There's always a winner.
Yes, that you know what, I have to make sure you're down here.
And I'm above.
For me, I'm above.
And I'm stepping on
I'm stepping on your head. Now that is very unfortunate. It should be the other way around, that guys, we have a mission. Just the way they do in the military. That's why you find the military, they're very stable.
Together.
Yeah, there's a code, and they say, you know, guys, we need to go and do X, Y, Z, and I can't do it alone. So you have all this the way they organize themselves. I think we need to find people who, one, are willing to trust each other more, but of course based on certain values. Because again, you are not going to trust people.
Some of us are values.
You know? Yes. Yeah. So that's the advice I would give, especially for parents. And then back to the family. These things start in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because many times we go yelling all over the place, but we need to go back to the basic cell of the society, which is the family. Obviously, somebody will tell me, no, who are you to talk about family? You see, that's not where the controversy begins.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, I always believe that, say, when you talk about friendship, this thing called friendship, or you talk about trust, it has to start
from
somewhere. So that when you leave this basic cell, when you now go to meet other cells that have similar orientation, then maybe it will work very well. But not only that, let's leave that. Assume that you had, you have neighbors. You have people who are from maybe very different backgrounds, but now you're in a particular setting.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now, the thing is, are people talking to each other?
Yeah.
Because you find sometimes, maybe not.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So the question is there a way in which people will say, okay, what are those things that can bring us together? Much as we know there's a lot of stuff that keep us apart, can we identify those things? And if we do that in the organizations, in the estates, in the schools, I think we have a fighting chance. The thing is that there's some things that we'll never see succeed, even if we wanted.
Yeah.
But all we do, let us start and pass. Just do your thing. Leave the rest. Just do your thing.
No, I like that. Like the key thing: are we ready to partner? Or are we ready to collaborate? Are we ready to work together?
That's a big question.
And the other thing, also look for something that brings you together. It doesn't have to be parties or the funny thing that I always laugh in my family, funerals.
You know. I have a very nice piece on social capital. I'm going to send you that too.
Because I think the more we meet and just talk even about absolutely nothing, and I think I enjoyed a lot of time when I was in campus, because there were a lot of times I would go just hang out with some of my friends for nothing. And even like my co-founder, we met because I think either he couldn't see the blackboard, so he was copying off my notebook. And half the time, I think I just asked him, can you see? He's like, yeah, my handwriting is very bad. It was really, very bad, but he used to write it. And you see, there's something around just not meeting someone not meeting them at you have an end goal, but just getting to know
transactional aspect.
And I didn't know
that can really put you off, by the way.
I didn't know we're going to do this together.
Yes, and you've done well. Congratulations.
We're running it.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is very key, that yes, get something also that brings you together.
Right.
Yeah, and carry on.
Yes. So I think you've said it very, very well, that life is for the living.
Yes.
And I know again it's touche, but life is for the living. It's never that serious. And I think in Kenya, I think it must have been a curry left over of the colonialists. I know we're not supposed to keep on bashing the colonialists, but I think when I look at Kenya, a lot of the problems we have, and I know we are British friends, but there's something that is wrong with us.
Yeah.
This inability to be positive, this inability to laugh, the way you're laughing now.
Yeah.
Okay, those things are important. People need to laugh. People need to talk.
It's not their fault. It's always raining. Sorry.
You know, it's right now the weather is terrible. Eh? Yes. You know that. Eh?
It's always
here we're having the sun and all. Yes.
Yeah.
So if we, and I'm not applauding the Americans, they have their own issues, but I think
everyone.
Yeah. The reason why you found that there are folks who just said, you know what, we've had it. They got onto the Mayflower, whatever that ship was called,
and left. So cheers.
Okay.
We're done with you anymore.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Because you gotta let people be, innovate. Allow people to be, even if they're going to make their mistakes. Of course, you cannot have guys doing everything right. But above all, allow people to breathe. Is that controversial?
Well, in Kenya, we're not breathing.
Well, we are. We are.
Not breathing.
By the way, but we are much better than a lot of countries. But we don't want dwarfs to compare themselves with dwarfs. You heard that analogy? Yeah?
The best among the worst.
We are trying. Yeah, we are trying in Kenya. But we could do much better. Much better. And the minute we realize that we all complement one another.
Oh, yes, we do.
What you have and what I have are different. I can't be you and vice versa.
Never.
All these other people we see, there's something they bring into the equation. And if we harness that in a way that we say, okay, fine, is there a code of sorts? So when you have that code and things are falling into place, I know 2030 is just 5 years away. I don't know, but we've been knowing about 2030 for how many years? Remind me, Tracey. When did you start?
2010.
Oh, it was 2010. Then we moved the goal. Then 2020.
But 2010 we did something. Yes. Promulgated a new constitution. So
that was good.
Looking for the silver lining, guys. Silver lining.
Yeah. So maybe for 2030, let folks
promulgate a new constitution.
Go and look at that document. Pick the stem.
Yes.
For our purposes, maybe. And I shared something with
I've
Lillian.
Read,
yes, you read.
And I had read a lot
on
around
that,
the dreams for Vision 2030. Konza Technopolis.
Which, by the way, I understand is going pretty well.
Yeah, things are happening.
Things are happening.
It's not all doom.
It's not all doom. Let's celebrate successes.
Yes.
I think it is important, even in this country.
Yes.
Let us learn to celebrate successes. Yes, and keep on, pushing that.
Yeah.
The rest will fall into place.
Yeah. And I like that you're saying, there are so many things you said, like following, collaborating for the right reasons, knowing how to collaborate and not trying to compete or to fight with each other, and then also celebrating successes and celebrating wins. And I think also this throws into also the work that we've done now. You've mentioned it a lot now with what you said around now your motivation for coming for STEM Fest. Right. We did it in Nairobi. Right. Do you have feedback for us? Do you see a goal of the whole country? Already we know this is a continent-wide event because it's run in Nigeria, so it was run in Lagos and Abuja. It was run in Sierra Leone last year, and it was run in Gambia. This year we will see, but what suggestions do you have for us as the team round STEM Africa Fest and the team round trying to push children to, not even just children, but push our society to see innovation as something that can help them?
Okay. It's nice that when you ask these questions, it aligns with something that, like for example, has happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make your day. So 2 weeks ago, I was in Kisumu. And in Kisumu, a 3-day investment conference, the first of its nature.
In Kisumu County?
In Kisumu County.
Yay!
Yes, in Kisumu County.
Yeah.
Beautiful event.
Yes.
One of the areas that had a lot of emphasis was education and also science in education. What I would tell you as CEO or as one of the founders of what you guys are doing is, number one, quickly try and get a conference, at the end of a conference, there needs to be at least some takeaways. Something that say, okay, we're not just here to blah, 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 blah.
We're not here to do silly things.
Yes, okay? And in that respect, I could also be of help because I know some of the people were involved.
Beautiful.
The Lake Region Economic Bloc, because Kisumu is part of the Lake Region Economic Bloc.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
I'm sure you know that we have economic blocks, 6 of them.
I know, I was like, yeah.
You know that,
and it's so interesting.
Yes, there's 6 of them.
Yes,
but I'm going to focus, today I'll leave out the other 5, just for today.
Yes.
But one of the things also that came out very clearly that there has to be, counties must work with each other. The blocks must work out. Even if you're in one part of the country, it doesn't mean the other part of the country does not exist. So, LREB, in short, has 14 counties. LREB. This is
LREB.
so let me, no, not LREB, so sorry.
Confused.
So
LREB.
L,
Lake Region, yes.
So it's an acronym.
Yeah.
Has 14 counties. Those 14 counties, 14, 1, 2, 3, up to 14, starting with Trans Nzoia.
Those are many.
Yes,
that's part of the Lake Region.
Yes, you have Trans Nzoia.
And then which is the southernmost?
Bomet is there, Kericho, yes, Nandi, Nyamira. I have a map. Actually,
I can agree.
Yes, we'll get you a map. Kisumu, yes, is there for obvious reasons. Then you have Homa Bay, you have Vihiga. 14.
Those are many.
Many people in Kenya
and
don't even know.
like a bread basket.
Exactly. Not many people know that.
Yeah, I've learned.
Bungoma. All right. I need to check about Trans Nzoia. Let me check that. But Bungoma, Busia. So those are 14 counties with almost 25 million people. I don't know how many schools are in
25 million. 14
million.
counties.
14 counties.
Right? Those are many people.
Then when you talk about economics now, when you talk about value chains, because you talk about maybe wheat, whatever, all the value chains, aquaculture,
corn,
there are 32 of them.
Yeah, maize, granites.
Okay? Yes. We talked about artificial intelligence. 32 value chains. There's research that has been done by Professor David Sparling, who is a founder of Strathmore. This guy is turning 90 in May.
Hey,
90. Yeah, so these are
come and give us your knowledge.
we need to get.
Come and give us your knowledge. What?
Yes.
Because 90, who's telling his story?
Yes.
Where?
So to the question you've asked, what can you guys do? This was 2 weeks ago. So this is still very, very, very fresh. Okay. So in that area, reach out quickly. And I know, as I told you, there are people who would really be of interest, and what you're doing will be of great interest to them. So for me, that is the first thing I would say. Let us be real. Let's be practical.
Yeah.
Pick that summary of whatever transpired, go into education, go into STEM, link that with what we said, the 2030, and then let us leave this country and have linkages across the globe. What are the Japanese doing? What are the Germans doing? What are the Americans doing? And even good old Britain, what are they doing?
There's a friend of mine who I think is going to send me a message after this. Where? If I lose friends, it's David.
No, but you see, but we'll also say, what language? What language are we speaking?
We're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, so for me to answer your question, let's get that to be one of those things. Then later on, even as you want to go across the country, use a methodology.
Yes.
You can't just wake up and say, I'm in Marsabit. Or wake up, I parachuted myself to Pokot. No.
Plan,
and also work with areas where there's least resistance. Yes.
Identify where we are coming.
Exactly. So for me, I think that would be great. And the beauty is that I've been part of, I have a lot of love for the Lake Victoria.
Yes.
Which is our second largest freshwater lake. And the communities around that area. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the rest of the country. I'm just saying that charity begins at home. At home.
But 32.
32 is a lot. 25 million is a lot. 14 counties is a lot. Imagine if FunKe just said, all right, for 2025, we want to just transit. What is going on here? You can have other collaborators to do this other side.
Yeah.
But you just say, let's leave Nairobi. Let's find ourselves in Kisumu.
Yeah, because I think also a lot of knowledge and information is saturated within the capital.
Yes. And
that still brings our continuous story. Even when I was in Primo, we were still talking about this rural-urban migration. And this is still happening because as much as we've brought devolved systems, there are certain counties that maybe are thriving. I'm not going to highlight them here because I'm not very political, so I'm not going to look like I'm showing with one side. But if things are wrong, they are wrong in your county, and you know.
Correct.
But if they're working in your county, and you're aware.
Correct.
So I think the more you're speaking about it, the more we need to evolve the event.
Yes.
And see how best we could.
And you'd find people, receptacles like us. So I'm not just at ICEA.
Yeah.
But you'd find that behind me also there are people, I'm sure they'll be watching this or listening to this, who would love an initiative like this. What you did on the 2nd of November.
Yes.
You may find guys who could help you run with part of it. So you only just come into London and say, yeah, we're just checking in. So let's find those kind of people.
We are finding them.
Yes.
And as you said, collaborations is meaning and celebrate successes.
Correct.
And we're happy.
Correct.
So as we close,
Correct.
What would be your vision for education in Africa? And for me, I'll throw in a snippet where I think also financial inclusion should be part of it. But what do you see as your vision for education? We can start with Kenya, and then you could build on to the continent, because we have a lot of work.
There's a lot of work to
There's a lot of work, yes.
Okay, remember I mentioned to you that, and before I answer your question, because I believe this is at the end, you'll allow me, indulge me.
Yes, go on.
Yes.
We have time.
Indulge me. My father, who thank God is still with us, he's 87 now, was a beneficiary of the Tom Mboya airlifts.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So in 1961, he got a scholarship to go and study at the University of Montreal in Canada. But before doing that, they had to study French. So for 2 years, at the Loyola College, so they had to. But of course, he lost all his French. But
we'll go practice.
Yes, I mention my father because back to what Nelson Mandela said. My father was the last of, a polygamous home with so many. I mean, you can imagine so many houses. So he was, I think, house number second last or something. So by the time my grandfather was passing on, I mean, my dad was basically going to become a destitute.
He was like,
yeah.
Is it not survive?
Yes. So the only thing my grandfather, before he passed, told his all the siblings, make sure this boy goes to school. Oh, that was the last thing my grandfather said.
That is so beautiful.
Yes. I say this story because had Dad not gone for his further studies and then come back, I don't think I would be seated here, blah, blah, blah. I would not.
Giving us opinions.
Yes.
But yeah, true.
So I wanted that first to be mentioned so that I tell the people in Kenya that we cannot rubbish education.
Yes.
We cannot have a situation where kids cannot understand math or cannot communicate, because these two have an impact on the other subjects. So whatever we do, literacy, before we go to financial inclusion, reading, getting our kids to read as I read. When I was a kid, I managed. We were given a lot of Brave and Bold, Magic. I remember books that I read.
You had Famous Five.
I also read the Famous Five.
Drew.
And we read a lot.
Secret Seven.
We were both serious readers. So let's get a way in which people understand that the wash kind of thing cannot be accepted.
Fast.
Cannot be accepted. We must go back to first principles. What is it? What is it that gives you dignity? The basics. I know when I say this, I'm a very unpopular guy.
I don't know.
Right? But I don't care. I'm sorry to say that.
Yes.
So let's go back to the very basics. The second thing is times have changed.
Yeah. The
way parenting, for example, was being done earlier, it's not the way it is today, because our kids seem to be always ahead.
Hey.
I found my kids are always ahead of me. You know that?
Yeah.
So what does
Catching up
is very hard. Okay? So it's not a bad thing, but we also have to try and make sure that we are not left out of the loop.
Oh, especially what's going on in their lives.
What's going on in their lives. So one, let's go back to the first principles. Two, let's find a way of equipping these children wherever they are. I really feel bad that you have people who seem to be more privileged in Kenya, but they're not a socialist. And then you find people who, they will never move. If you are born in this part of the country, you will always be at the bottom. There has to be interventions, whether it is through the devolved government or the central government, to ensure that there are areas where you just decide that whether it's through technology, there's going to be a way in which all these people have a fighting chance. Because some of those people are extremely brilliant. That's where your Albert Einstein is. That's where Mark Zuckerberg is.
It's chilling.
Right, chilling in this place. So that's another thing that I would say.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is that we have many companies in this country. A lot of them, I feel, duplicating effort. You find that you want to have a CEO, a CFO, repeated. CEO, and I don't know what, see something.
CTO, and CIO.
So you see, why don't you have shared services? even in the insurance industry, I know it's controversial, but there are times when you know what, the data, the background data is the same. How about you have an interface and you have all this stuff, but of course you make sure data protection is in place.
Yes.
All the necessary laws are in place. Then you can be able to be more efficient and have those resources released to that marginalized person. Remember you say we don't have money?
Yeah.
We have a lot of money.
But there's a lot of money.
We have a lot of money being wasted. Then obviously I talked about collaboration. I said that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Kenya has got a very, very diverse and very resourceful diaspora community. I lived in the US before I came back to Kenya. And I can tell you that the US has probably the number nobody knows. It could be 300,000, 500,000, nobody quite knows. But in the US alone, we have a lot of Kenyans. And you see how attached they are to Kenya.
Oh yes, and they still send money.
Not just money.
They were the largest foreign revenue, whatever. What is it? It has a name, foreign revenue earner or that sort of thing, yes. But it was coming, it was even more than when I learned in school. Coffee, flowers.
Tea, all those things combined.
It was, disbursing money.
Did you know Kenya still survives as an economy because of a very strong diaspora community? Do you know this economy really has not collapsed, even from the days of Moi, because the people who really hold this economy are the diaspora. Of course, when we say that, the politicians go blazing. But even they know. Even they know. So I mentioned the diaspora, so that say if we had these 10 events, or any other event for that matter, let us find a way of also having the input, tapping into those.
Networks.
Stella will tell you that on the 2nd of January, we had a session with some visiting folks and they were going back to their countries, to Europe, wherever they came from. So we got a chance to be invited to that event. And one of those guys is a top computer scientist, the university in the US. So those are the kind of things we can create linkages. And some of these guys, they come from different parts. They also would like to do things where they come from. So as you do your thing, don't do them alone. Ask yourself, what is the diaspora map for Kenya? And once you know these guys, where are they staying? What would be of interest to them as far as STEM is concerned?
So doing it back in the country.
So those are the things that I think would help. But then, more than anything else, can the conversations like these, you may not do all these interviews all the time yourself, but find a way in which these interviews can be going on in different parts, but not just talking. Doing. Talk, because it's important to have a way of, okay, what exactly are we saying? Then once we finish, you say, okay, fine, we talked. What are we going to do in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months? That's a challenge I'm giving to you. I like that.
Well, guys, you have something to hold me accountable for.
Yes.
Diaspora fam, Minnesota, we see you.
Your folks in diaspora? How about Dallas, Texas?
Every single Kenyan, it's in the Dallas of Minnesota. So the joke is always, there was a joke, very, very wrong joke that someone once said. There was, I think, one election, and then people are saying this is a very bad tangent. But someone was saying, the votes for this and the candidates have come in. They're like, no, how the votes for Minnesota come in? And they were like, what? What are you talking about? Minnesota is a state in America. There are lots of Kenyans. There are a lot of Kenyans. But I think even it's very diverse around, because there are Kenyans, I think, in almost every single state, Philadelphia, in Philly, in maybe Minnesota that I've mentioned, in Texas, DC, everywhere. So for all those, if you want to partner with us as well.
And guess what, Tracey,
I'm happy to work with people.
Before you finish that, did you know that Kenyans are some of the most intelligent people on the planet? Oh yes, I haven't refused. We are brilliant, yes. And let's guys know that Kenyans are very brilliant. We're very brilliant.
And brain is real, because we take our brains
we take them elsewhere.
But we do the work. Right. And I've loved having this conversation with you, David. I've learned learning so much. I've confused even my wife. But I've learned so much. I've gained so much knowledge, and I hope for you who are listening or watching, you've learned a lot. I think I have homework from here is to those collaborations need to happen. If you see us in accounting here, you just know also David has pushed me or panel beaten.
I'll be checking. I'll be checking.
He's told you guys look out for me 6 months until I'm supposed to be somewhere else.
So in August, when I celebrate my special birthday, I will ask you, Tracey, it's my birthday today. What have you done in the last 6 months?
Not even what have you done in the 6 months.
6 months.
So I've been shaken a little bit.
Right.
But just your parting shot. So I've enjoyed this entire conversation. We've talked so much. We've done so many things around. We've spoken about so many things around collaboration, working together, celebrating each other. As we close, and maybe look straight into the camera. Maybe you could give us your parting shot, your final say, and then yes, that's just that.
So for me, because it would be wrong if I left this stage and didn't mention one other thing that I'm very passionate about, which is financial literacy 101. And that is something that Stella and I will be working on, to ensure that from base level, people understand that you must be literate when it comes to your finances. You can't be a professor or a scientist or whatever else, and when you look at how you handle your money, or how you plan, you're illiterate.
Yes.
So for me, I'm going to say that as the last thing. I don't want to dilute it. Financial literacy 101.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Tracey, for having me.
Thank you as well, David. And for all of you, make sure you watch this episode and learn something new, and always give us feedback, what you can do differently, and make sure you come for STEM Fest. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.